Welcome everybody to the Third Touch Soccer Podcast, a Thursday edition with myself, Sam Leamy, and the one and only Connor Walsh. What's going on, bud?
I'm good, buddy. Actually, I'm not good, but I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm great. I've had a really good day, really good morning, running around, sending emails, went to the gym, got to keep fit these days. How's your gym
That's
life
good.
going?
It's non-existent currently. I'm still recovering from my college career that ended a year and a half ago. But
you are still attracting the ladies, I hear.
always, son.
What happened in the last few days?
I believe Valentine's Day happened in the last few days,
And what else?
and I've been wifed up. I'm no longer single, listeners.
It's over. So
Wait, no, I haven't been wifed up. I'm a dude. I can't be wifed up. Whatever. You know what I meant. I'm now dating a female, and it's lit.
Congratulations. I'm happy for you.
Thanks, buddy.
A lot's happened this week. But we've had a big week. We've had, Champions League is back. Europa League is back. I know you said the most predictable competition in the world. Your beloved Arsenal. Everyone knows what happened yesterday. But I want to first touch base on the news this week. Gabriel Jesus, the big-time Manchester City 19-year-old from Brazil who's replaced Aguero in the starting lineup, went down on Monday with a broken metatarsal. What developments have come from that?
Yeah, so it looks like he's going to be out for 2 to 3 months. He's over in Barcelona right now seeing Pep Guardiola's favorite doctor. Apparently Guardiola says this clown is the best doctor in the world, so I guess it's nice to have the world's best doctor in your back pocket. But that's a tough loss for City, tough loss for him after such a nice start to the league, and I guess it's good for Kun Aguero. He's probably the happiest person in the situation that he's once again relevant. But
do you think that changes the situation now that Aguero is probably going to be back in the starting 11 from now until the end of the season?
Situation as far as him returning next year?
Maybe getting sold this summer. There has been rumors. We see it in the press. Obviously, there's nothing conclusive, but maybe Aguero can kind of get his head down and challenge his position. His competition right now.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's a good opportunity for him to show everyone. I mean, it's kind of crazy that we even are talking about Aguero like this, honestly, but it's just the reality of the situation. And I don't know. I don't know. I think that, if Gabriel went on to start the rest of the season and bagged 10 goals and showed everyone that he can play in the Premier League, which, he did in his first few games, then I think Aguero would be in more danger. But it definitely throws some uncertainty in the air because we couldn't have predicted the future as far as what kind of goal return Gabriel would have gotten for the remainder of the season. So yeah, I think that maybe Aguero can solidify himself for next year if Man City's looking to extend. But it'll be going to be interesting to see what happens this summer for sure.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the development of Gabriel Jesus. A lot of people really aren't familiar with this guy. He's 19 years old. He came from Brazil, right?
Yeah, he came from Palmeiras, who won the league last year.
Okay, came straight from there. Has established himself as a first-team regular for Manchester City, one of the best teams in England. As a 19-year-old coming from Brazil, there's not many South Americans that have adapted to the Premier League as quickly as he has. So it's definitely a huge blow for him. And just one of those niggling injuries. I remember there was an epidemic in the early 2000s with these metatarsals, and it all stemmed from the boots. You call them cleats, but how thin they are. And since the progression and technology of cleats, they've become thinner, lighter. You're able to run quicker, and it doesn't give as much protection on the foot. So we're seeing more and more broken bones in the foot, and it's just one of those niggling injuries. I remember David Beckham had it just before the 2002 World Cup. Some RG playing for Deportivo La Coruña injured him 2-3 months before the 2002 World Cup, and he clearly wasn't fit for that World Cup. Now, sports science we've come so far, and it's still a 2 to 3 month recovery period. So, how big of a blow do you think it is for for Gabriel Jesus right now as just a young lad?
I'm sure it's a hard one to swallow after such a bright start. I'm sure he was thrilled to be starting and playing well, and he really couldn't have asked for a better beginning of his career in the Premier League and at Manchester City. So, I mean, the reality is that he's young. It's only a broken foot. It's something that's going to heal, and he could potentially be back for the end of the season. So, I think more or less it's just a moment of frustration for him, and I'm sure he'll be back and ready to go in a couple months.
How long is it going to take you to recover from your broken jaw there, Connor?
Yeah, it's been like 23 years of recovery so far, and we're yet to see any results. So I can personally speak on I can't speak too much about broken metatarsals, but as far as fractured chins, it's a struggle, and I have to live with it every day.
All right. You're looking good though, by the way. I just want
Thanks, buddy.
to tell our listeners that you're looking good today. Moving on, Clint Dempsey is back. Is he back? Fully fit? 100% fit?
He's been cleared with his heart, irregular heartbeat that sidelined him for the end of the Sounders season this year, but he's back, and he says he's close to full fitness, not 100%. He said like 85, 90, I believe, which is, for being still 2 weeks out of the season's beginning, that's, he's in pretty good shape, I guess. So yeah, he'll be back, and he's gonna be big for the Sounders, and see if they can go on and repeat this year. And I mean, I love Deuce, man. I was kind of worried that like we saw the last of him for a minute, because your heart is so serious. Obviously, it's not something like a broken shin like I have, or Gabriel's foot. Like, you really can't mess around with that. Yeah. And so I'm glad that he's been back and he's cleared and he's ready to go, and because he's still an important player for the Sounders and the national team. And I mean, Deuce is the homie, man. He's the best rapper that the United States national team's ever seen. So we need to keep him healthy for as long as possible. Go on, Deuce.
Any news about him returning to the national team for the upcoming friendlies, or is that too soon?
I believe that Bruce said that he will not be returning for the March qualifying games, which is, I guess, unfortunate, because if he's healthy and he's playing each week for the Sounders, why not call him up? What's the I don't really see what the issue is. He's obviously still one of our best players, despite him getting up there in age a little bit. So. But yeah, he said after during the January camp, or in between the friendlies or whatever, that he would not be called up regardless of his health, but that could potentially change.
All right, and talking about the MLS and him potentially returning, preseason has started. I don't want to go in depth. It's kind of boring. NYCFC played New York Red Bulls yesterday, straight after the. Arsenal. I put it on straight after the Arsenal Bayern Munich game. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, is this live?" I was like, "Yeah, it's it's for the culture, right?" And we were working last night, and we looked up some more friendlies, and YouTube was streaming the Portland Timbers versus Vancouver Whitecaps. And what was really interesting about this game, one, we were probably the only bar in America showing this game.
Yo, shout out to us, yo. We're furthering the culture at a level that the people of Albany can't even comprehend at this time. That was crazy. It's sick, dude, that we do that. But yeah.
Well, there was two things that were really interesting. The commentary was some over-enthusiastic Canadian drunk who was just going way too crazy for a preseason friendly. And two, the attendance was nearly 10,000, I heard, for a preseason friendly. Now, I mean, I don't know where I'm really going with this, but that's such a significant direction that the MLS is, heading. It's like so many people are interested in these games, even if it's preseason right now.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that has to come down to the fact that it was Portland who has one of the best home support in the league. And the other factor was that they were playing Vancouver, so not that it's the quickest travel, but it is still the northwest of North America. But yeah, it was great to see behind the goals, especially like the supporter section of Portland looked more or less sold out. It was pretty impressive for a preseason match, and just goes to show. I know we were talking to Paul about it in the last episode, our guest from across the pond, just about especially Portland supporter culture that's developing throughout the United States, but specifically in Portland, and it's pretty cool to see. I was impressed by how many people turned out. But that commentator, I think, was actually a radio commentator, and they used the radio audio for the video feed, which was why he was talking so much. Like, we had the sound on at the bar, and we turned it off because it was so annoying.
Yeah.
Like, every time Vancouver got the ball it was like Gus Johnson when he used to commentate at the Champions League. If the ball was within 30 yards of the goal, he was shouting. But yeah, it was cool to see the fan turnout, and we enjoyed the game. Kakuta Mane played, who had the little stint in the USA national camp. And Blas Perez, the MLS vet, scored for Vancouver.
And
they actually scored two
pretty nice goals. Doing the results, New York Red Bulls beat NYCFC 2-0. Sasha Klestin put in a masterclass performance. And Vancouver Whitecaps won 2-0. It finished 2-0 in the end. 2-0.
Yeah, it was 2-0.
Live update. Ghent has just taken the lead against Tottenham Hotspur in the Europa League. Ooh, Man United. Ooh. But yeah, the Europa League's back. But we'll touch base on that in a second. Another thing in the news today, Mark Clattenburg going to Saudi Arabia to be head of referees over there. What's going on? Why is he leaving?
It's kind of crazy, man. It's kind of crazy. Like, it just goes to show the current state of modern football and how it's now affecting referees. Clattenburg is probably the best referee in the world, just based on the level of matches that he gets. Usually each week he's reffing the biggest Premier League game, ref the Champions League final and Euro final last year, which he actually got tattoos for both, which is kind of hilarious.
I just saw that, as well. They're pretty big as well. I didn't see where he actually got them, but
wrist and calf.
Jesus Christ.
Dude, he's a G, bro. I love Clattenburg. I'm gonna miss seeing him because I feel like he does do a very good job, and you have to give him credit because he is usually reffing the biggest matches of the week in the Premier League and the Champions League. So that's a big loss for England. It's only a 1-year contract, and I think he's going more or less as a advisor.
Uh-huh.
And he will be reffing some domestic games in Saudi Arabia, but I'm sure we'll see him back next year. But he's leaving immediately. Like, that's it. He's gone.
Yeah, he's leaving before the next fixtures because what happened, Howard Webb, he's taken his position. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, because Howard Webb is coming over to the MLS now to be an advisor to the referees here, and I think he's running the video assistant technology. Mm-hmm. He's more or less managing that. But yeah, so Howard Webb, another OG English ref, was over in Saudi Arabia, coming to MLS, and now Clattenburg is going to replace him in Saudi Arabia.
So yeah,
I'm sure he's getting paid. I'm sure he's getting paid a good sum of money.
Of course, he's getting paid a good sum of money.
It's kind of funny though that like the modern game is now like referees are getting transferred. Like, this is crazy. Just the state of footy these days.
What's it going to be? The ball boys are going to get recruited by, the Yemen League.
Yeah.
But Clattenburg, he refereed his first Premier League game at the age of 25 in 2000, I believe it was. He's now 41 years old, so this is a huge loss for the Premier League. They're losing their best referee, right?
Definitely. Yeah. It's a big loss. I mean, I think Michael Oliver is now, in my opinion, the best referee in the league, which is good for the league because he's also the youngest ref. Mm-hmm. So it's tough. Because Clattenburg is like a rock star in a way, man, with the spiked hair and long sleeves all the time. Like, I kind of mess with Clattenburg.
Right. Well, we'll see.
He won't be. I don't think he can do Champions League games either now because he's out of the continent.
He's out of UEFA. But he's done that. He's kind of tipped his hat to the Champions League and the Euro final, so he's done that. I mean, do they even get a second bite at that cherry? I don't think they even are considered if they do it once. I'm not too sure about
probably
that.
Not.
But yeah, it's interesting to you to bring up the video referee. I don't know if they're taking that on in Saudi Arabia, but I've heard the MLS are going to implement it in the second half of this season. So how is that?
It's such a bad decision.
Yeah.
It's such a bad decision because even if you are going to implement it, in my opinion, it's a bad decision. But then to do it halfway through the season, that is a whole half of a season worth of games that are going to be different than the other half as far as decisions that can be made. Like, how you can't do that. You can't do that. It's terrible.
Yeah, I have to do a little bit more research on that, but that's what I've heard, and we've already mentioned that the Bundesliga are adapting it at the start of next season. So I don't know if the technology is going to be in place by the start of the MLS season. It obviously isn't, and then we hear these reports of head of referees moving from country to country, and if Howard Webb's coming over to the MLS, he needs to come over, settle, and kind of arrange everything. He can't just jump in, be thrown a bunch of technology and go, right, Howard, this is how it's going to be, this is how it's going to work, and let's do it right now. It obviously takes time, and they still haven't released what the video technology is going to be used for. But yeah, you're right. You're implementing in the second half of the season, so a team is going to argue and go, hang on a minute, if that decision happened in this game, we can review our tapes from game week 2 and go, well, that's fucking bullshit because we've dropped points there, but we would have gained points here. It kind of doesn't translate. I mean, that's where we are with that. But we'll see what happens. We'll see the developments of video refereeing. Once everything's conclusive and we know what's going on, right now the fans, and I think just the head of referees are just educated on this, but the fans, the players, they need to know what's going on. But we'll see what happens with that. So anyway, good luck, Clattenburg. Get some Middle Eastern tattoos.
I miss you, Mark.
We want to talk about Carli Lloyd now, the World Player of the Year. Carli Lloyd, the American women's superstar. Is she a superstar? She's a superstar. Of course she is.
I mean, yeah, she's the World Player of the Year.
She is turning her back on the American League and joining Manchester City Ladies. What have we heard? What's going on right now with the USA women's teams?
Well, she's not fully turning her back. It's only a 3-month agreement. So it's more or less a little loan spell, and she's going back to NWSL for the second half of the season. And she just said that she wanted the opportunity to play in the Champions League, the Women's Champions League. And, I mean, she's 34 years old. Her career is more or less winding down, and she's never played abroad. So why not have the opportunity to play in, the biggest women's competition I can imagine in the world would be for club. It's got to be the Women's Champions League. Mm-hmm. And so it's a good. I'm excited for her. It's kind of a trend now. The Alex Morgan going to Lyon, Crystal Dunn going to Chelsea, Heather O'Reilly going to Arsenal. Some of the biggest talent is leaving the NWSL. And one thing the NWSL needs to succeed is stars, and especially stars from the American stars they need. So it's kind of a hit to them.
Uh-huh.
But it's a good move for her. Why not? She said that she was over there in England just watching games, and the manager of Man City's women's team sent her an email and said, hey, while you're here, why don't you stop by and see what we're about? Because Man City won the English title this past season. So they're obviously a good club, and she, was impressed by what she saw, and they signed her to a quick 3-month contract, and she's going to be playing in the FA Cup, the league, and the Champions League. So it's a good experience for her to see what she can do overseas.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you mentioned her career's winding down. She's 34 years old, and why not give her a trial? But yeah, it definitely is a big hit to the women's league over here. And we've seen a couple of leagues in the women's game over here come and fold, and it looks like this new league wants to settle down. It's more structured. You mentioned yesterday they're getting more television exposure on Lifetime.
Yep. One game a week will be nationally televised, pregame show, halftime show, wrap-up show at the end of the game. And I think that's good for them because in the past when it was on, say, Fox Sports or ESPN, it would just cut right to the game and that was it. And it would cut right off after. It didn't really get full coverage, and this can be – and I think it's smart on their part because that's the demographic. Let's be frank. Lifetime is a channel geared towards women. And I think that they're just accepting the fact that women will be the primary watchers of the league, and it can, kind of be the home. And it's a good opportunity for Lifetime to break into sports and show that they're interested in women's sports. So I think it's a good move for them, and I think one game a week is probably fair to start off and see where it goes from there. U.S. Soccer released the new third kit for the Gold Cup this summer, and I think they'll be wearing it for the upcoming qualifiers. What were your thoughts on the all-red kit? Personally, I hate it, man. I don't like this thing that Nike keeps doing with this template that everyone gets the same jersey with different colors.
I think they must have run out of ideas, man. How many
They pay
ideas?
designers.
Huh?
They pay designers. Like how? I don't know. I hate it. I really don't like it. I like our other jerseys, even though that other countries have the same like style. But why is like the third case should be something different and cool? It's like I don't know. I like the all red. I'm just like England have like the same exact jersey, just with white in the sleeves. Portugal have the same exact jersey. Like I just don't understand.
Connor,
Are they getting lazy?
Connor.
Chin.
It's not a fashion contest when you're running around trying to win the Gold Cup. It's all about your heart and your teammates.
Okay. You suck, dude. Bro. You have to look fire, bro. You have to look fire.
Why? Well, you have to look fire doing it. That's where you and I disagree.
The best kit we ever had was the striped kit, or most best recent kit we had was the candy cane kit. Son, that thing was
don't care.
dope.
I don't care about kits anymore. When I was between the ages of 10 and 23, I cared about kits. Yeah, I cared about the design.
So this is the last year I can care about kits.
I think,
next year?
Yes. This is the last year.
You're
not going to be bothered about what the fucking USA third strip's going to look like. It's such a market employee to get money off you. How much money have you spent on Arsenal shit in the last 12 months?
Dude, the fact that I spent $80 on a pullover top just hours before kickoff yesterday against Bayern Munich, I was furious, dude. Because it was.
Anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. But it's a kit. To me, it's a kit,
right.
So I don't really care, to be honest. And I think a lot of people don't care. But is it a lazy design that Nike have released? Maybe, but it's a kit, and as long as they win the formidable Gold Cup, then no one cares.
Are we going?
I'll go. We'll get some tickets.
Quarterfinals are in Philly, son. We got to go.
All right, we'll go. Takes 15 minutes to drive down there. All right.
It's a quick 15 minutes drive from Albany.
Champions League is back. Champions League is back. The most predictable competition in the world, according to you, on Monday. Surprise!
I was proven wrong this week.
You were proven wrong on day one, match day one, as they say. PSG dominated against Barcelona. Now, I watched the game, I thought Di Maria was excellent, Cavani was excellent, Paris Saint-Germain all round were great right from the off. Messi was invisible. He was just not the player. And he just couldn't get the ball. Suarez, Neymar, sporting a new haircut. Like, what did you think about, of that game?
Well, just to start off, that was without a doubt the worst I've ever seen Barcelona play ever. They were terrible, man. And I know, like, when they lost to Bayern a few years ago, was it 4-0? They were bad, but they were completely outclassed in every aspect of the pitch. Adrian Rabiot was, in my opinion, like the best player on the pitch. He had an absolute masterclass. He showed Sergio Busquets how to play holding mid, which is crazy because of how good Busquets has been. But dude, that Barcelona midfield was just completely non-existent. Busquets is getting up there in age. Iniesta is old. Andre Gomez is simply not good enough to play for Barcelona. Mm. Not good enough. I don't know why Rakitic didn't start, but they were non-existent, man. Matuidi, Verratti, and Rabiot just completely ran that midfield. And they were great, man. Verratti is legit. Rabiot is legit. Another player that Arsenal were linked to didn't sign. Brilliant. Not going to get into that quite yet, but PSG's pressing was just very impressive to start the game. Right off, you could see in the first 5 minutes they were going to press, and they deserved to score first. But my whole thing was like, will they get tired? Will they stop pressing? No, dude, they completely outclassed them, and it was great. It was really fun to watch, and the goals they scored were such high quality. It was great to see Julian Draxler score, and looks like he's starting to live up to his potential finally. He scored 6 goals in his first 10 matches for PSG, so he's absolutely killing it. And yeah, I think this might be the end of an era, honestly, at Barcelona, which might be premature to say, but just that midfield needs some serious addressing, more or less a complete overhaul. And it's going to be hard to replace the players that they've had that have been so good for them.
Well, I mean, it looks like they're out of the Champions League now. The possibility of them winning La Liga is slim due to the fact that Real Madrid are still top of the league with 2 games in hand. They just have the Copa del Rey. As a Barcelona president, as fans, that's simply not good enough. Now, where we're going to point the finger here, we can say, okay, aging midfield, but Luis Enrique really hasn't produced what the likes of Guardiola produced, Kluivert produced. Is it time for him to step down?
Potentially, but they won the league last year, so it's not like they've been bad under Luis Enrique. I don't know. That was just so unexpected, and I know that PSG is a very good team, but to see him play that well was very, very impressive. But the midfield for me is the biggest thing. You can not always find defenders, but defenders can be found. They already have the 3 best forwards in the world, but Busquets has been very, very poor for this entire season. Going into the end of last year, he was poor. He was bad at the Euros. So I just don't know what they can do about that. There's just got to be someone. I think Julian Weigl maybe from Dortmund could be a player that could come in and play that position very well. Iniesta's irreplaceable. You're not going to find another Iniesta, and he's just old. And Gomez was horrendous, man. He's just not good enough to play for that club. So,
do you think this is going to transcend into the national team as well? Because Spain haven't been what we're used to in the last couple of tournaments either. And do you think the downturn in Barcelona's fortunes is affecting the national team as well?
To a certain degree, yeah. I mean, you're starting to see more players in the national team that aren't just solely Barcelona, Real Madrid. Other guys are starting to come in from whether it's La Liga or some of the Premier League players, such as Silva or Mata, whatever. It's tough, though. I think Spanish football may have peaked, and they all came together at the right time as the best country in the world, best clubs in the world, and Barcelona and Real Madrid are going to continue to be the best clubs in the world, but I think that's that core Spanish contingency, because before this, Spain has been good, but they only found success as far as winning tournaments recently in the last decade, which we've had the pleasure of witnessing. So I think, yeah, it is going to affect the national team, but I think Barcelona will be okay. It's just maybe not going to be Spanish players that are going to be the players replacing who they already have.
All right. I mean, 4-0, not even a sniff of an away goal. Is this Barcelona out of the competition now?
Yeah. But then again, if there's any team that's capable of scoring 4 goals at home, it is Barcelona. But I just don't see it. I think PSG can do the job. And, this game was without Thiago Silva, too.
Uh-huh.
And they looked so solid defensively.
Uh-huh.
They didn't even give Barcelona a sniff. So
yeah. Other game on Tuesday, Benfica, Borussia Dortmund. I had 2 games on. I was kind of going back and forth between the two. I thought Dortmund looked very bright. Aubameyang missed a couple of opportunities that he would normally put away. Our main man, Pulisic, came on in the second half. It was pretty lively, I thought. Felt he showed his age a little bit with his strength, but he had a couple of chances, and that one at the edge of the area was a little bit unlucky. The goalkeeper made a good save from that volley. That was more of a surprise, but I do see Dortmund coming back into that game, but they're also struggling domestically as well. With the players they have, they should be doing better, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that Thomas Tuchel has to be brought into question a little bit, because he's being heralded as this great young manager, and frankly, it really hasn't. The results really haven't been there. They've struggled domestically. They just lost over the weekend before this match to Darmstadt, who's in dead last in the Bundesliga. So it's not looking too too great, honestly, for Dortmund. I mean, they're currently in fourth place, but between third place and seventh place, I believe every team is within 2 points. So they could easily fall out of that Champions League race if these results continue. So
I mean,
I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be okay overall. I think they will beat Benfica at home, and they should have won this game.
Yeah,
Aubameyang was shocking, frankly. He missed so many chances. Missed the penalty that was kicked directly down the middle. Like, that was one of the worst penalties I've seen in a so far this season. Like, the keeper didn't even move. It was kind of bad, but I was happy to see Mitroglou score for Benfica, the man that got Fulham relegated. But yeah, dude, I don't know. It wasn't good.
I mean, obviously that tie is still wide open. I do see Dortmund coming through that game just with the talent they have. But yeah, just the surprise of PSG beating Barcelona on Tuesday. No one saw that coming. And you did write a big article about how predictable the Champions League is, which we are going to publish somewhere at some point. But that kind of took a turn on that statement.
We're in the process of getting our blog started, so I've just been doing some practice articles to get my get the creative juices flowing, get back up on my writing skills. But I literally finished this thing like right before kickoff of PSG Barcelona about just how predictable the Champions League has become. Seems like it's the same fixtures each year, same results each year. And then PSG absolutely annihilated Barcelona, and I was like, well, that was a waste of the last hour and a half of my life. But yeah, Tuesday was a fun day of matches. Barcelona PSG was great. Got to see the two upsets really. So I think PSG, man, if they play like that, if PSG plays as they played on Tuesday against Barcelona, they can go on and make a legitimate push to win this competition.
I think Cavani's so fucking good. So good. And I don't know if he
makes very, very smart runs.
I don't know if he's going to stay at PSG for the rest of his career, but if he has one more move in him, do you think there could be a possibility of him coming to the Premier League?
I mean, that possibility it's always there. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think he's happy he's finally the main striker at Paris because he was playing out of position when Ibrahimovic was there. And now he has the opportunity to consistently play down the middle, and he's been great. He scored a very nice goal and was just really involved on Tuesday. That team is so dangerous. Like, that front three of Draxler, who's now playing well, Cavani and Di Maria is very formidable, and their midfield is so solid. And again, Thiago Silva didn't even play, and they did not even struggle. So I think it's important to PSG to win the league with the money that's been invested and the money that's been spent to win the Champions League with the money that's been spent and invested. And I think maybe this year is their best chance, especially after now getting rid of, a perennial powerhouse. Potentially, I mean, it's not over yet, but it looks like Barcelona will be knocked out.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about favourites and who you think is going to win the Champions League, but we'll do that after what happened yesterday. And we have to talk about it, Connor. And I know you don't want to talk about it. And I know we've talked about Arsenal time and time again on this podcast. So I'm working yesterday. I watched the game. Connor trudges in. And I've never seen a man so depressed in my life. And I've never seen a 23-year-old so depressed in my life. And we were texting a little bit in the first half. And for all those people who didn't watch the game, it was Bayern Munich 5, Arsenal Football Club 1. And the score at halftime was 1-1. And how the game played out was Robin scored a fantastic goal, in the first 10 minutes. Arsenal were kind of getting into the game. And I'm watching the game, reviewing the game, taking notes. I'm like, Koscielny's just putting in a commanding performance. I'm going to talk about this tomorrow on the podcast. I think he's been one of Arsenal's consistent players for the last few years. He wins the penalty, which was unfortunate on Lewandowski. I think it was a penalty, yes. He's blindsided with the foot coming in, but he makes contact with the foot and not the ball, so it's clearly a penalty. There's contact there. Sanchez takes that penalty. It's a piss-poor penalty. He gets he whiffs at it on the rebound, sits up nicely for him, and it's a cute finish. Let's call it that. We'll call it a cute finish. But it goes to halftime. I'm getting ready to go to work. I come down to work, and then it's probably the most severe downward spiral of all time of any football match you've ever seen.
I've never. Yeah, it was bad, dude. It was embarrassing. I mean, you go into halftime out. We were completely outpossessed, which was fine. But 1-1 is pretty much job well done. Maybe try to see out the second half. Bayern looked good. Arsenal looked pretty dangerous on the counter, especially as the first half went on. But, at halftime, I'm thinking, okay, maybe things are a little bit different this year. And no, not the case. Dude,
so, I saw the pass completion in the first half. Arsenal completed less than 100 passes in the first half. Less than 100 passes. Bayern Munich completed, I think it was like 400 and something. Less than 100 in the first half. Over these years, Arsenal seem to have learnt nothing from these games. They put up the same system, the same players, same type of players, should we say, and the same outlook, the same prep of going to Bayern Munich Stadium and just kind of crumbling time and time again. And Koscielny did go off early in the second half, and that just opened the door for Bayern Munich just to take control. And it seemed like they gave up at the end. The last 20 minutes, Bayern Munich players were lining up to score, and they missed 3 or 4 opportunities. It could have been 8 or 9, Connor. It really could.
Yeah, no, Ospina had a couple very nice saves, so got to give him credit. But the players gave up, man, completely and utterly outclassed in every aspect of the game. Tactics, talent, technical ability, team unity, team belief, across the board. And last year, they lost to Bayern Munich 5-1 in the group stage at the Allianz. How has nothing been learned to not lose 5-1 2 years in a row, dude? How? How is that possible? How can not make it 4-1? At least you learned something to prevent 5 goals. But no, 5-1 2 years in a row. Nothing has changed, dude. Nothing has changed. Francis Coquelin, okay? Let's talk about goal number 1. Let's start at the beginning. Francis Coquelin let Robben go onto his left foot with absolute ease. Anyone who is
so did Ozil. Ozil was standing there as well. Ozil was just ball watching.
Yes, I'm aware of that. But Coquelin one-on-one defending, a defensive midfielder, one-on-one defending. Any casual soccer fan anywhere in the world will tell you never let Arjen Robben on his left foot. That is the most basic thing. And he let him go on his left foot so easily. Francis Coquelin, at 77 minutes of play, completed 6 passes and 0 tackles. This is a holding midfielder. That's not good enough. It's not good enough. Dude, it is absolutely embarrassing. I have never felt that way after a game. And as an Arsenal fan, I have experienced some extreme lows. Last night at work, we were on YouTube, and you put on the 8-2 game against Man United. This is the lowest it's ever been. The team is regressing. Nothing is improving. Wenger didn't leave his seat the entire game. Ancelotti's on the touchline for 90 minutes instructing his players and coaching. Look at the results. Personally, I'm losing interest, man. I can't do it anymore. I wasted $80 again yesterday to financially support this club that does not care. Alexis flew out this morning. He literally left. He flew out. He's on break. The team's giving him a break. He's gone. He's done. We wasted the opportunity to have Ozil and Alexis. We spent $90 million this summer, and nothing has changed. The only thing that's the same is the manager. And at some point, people, I don't understand how you can call yourself a serious supporter of Arsenal at this point and want Arsene Wenger at the club. You can't. You don't support Arsenal anymore. You support Arsene Wenger because you're comfortable. You don't support the club if you still want Arsene Wenger at the club. You don't care. All you care about is being comfortable and being mediocre. And you know what? We saw what happened with Man U after Sir Alex left. They struggled for a few years. But I would rather struggle for a few years and be put up with the same mediocrity and be sold the same nonsense each year. I can't do it anymore. You saw me when I showed up to work yesterday. I was deflated, bro. Deflated. I can't do it, dude. What is the point of finishing top 4? What is the point? What is
So
the
what?
point?
So why the Arsenal fans still supporting Arsene Wenger? And this is what I talked about you yesterday. Every fucking Arsenal fan should boycott the second leg, like empty stadium. That's a true statement. But you're gonna get the prawn sandwich eaters turning up to the fucking Emirates and to get their Kodak moment. Every Arsenal fan should boycott that fucking second leg.
Yeah, they should, but the idiots that still like, dude, there is no reason to want Arsene Wenger at the club. How? What is he doing for us right now?
I'll tell you
What
why.
is he doing?
I'll tell you why. This is Arsene
It's
Wenger.
pathetic.
I'll tell you why. Arsene Wenger wants to leave on his own terms. This is why he keeps getting an extended contract. He still wants to accomplish the Champions League with Arsenal. He still believes he can do that. He still believes he can win the Premier League. He still believes. You may not, but he still believes. So he wants to go out on a high on his own terms. And he's going to sign another contract to the end of the season. The contract's on the table. All he has to do is sign it. Now there's reports saying that he's gonna decide at the end of the season. It's in his hands. How can How can Arsenal Football Club publicly support a manager who's just taken his team to Germany for the second season in a row and got turned over by a team? Yes, it's probably better player for player, but Arsenal don't have a bunch of shit players. Did I see Kieran Gibbs put on the fucking captain's armband yesterday? Did I see that happen? Did I see that fucking happen? Was I dreaming? I saw Kieran Gibbs put the captain's armband on. Wow, Connor. We talk about the spine of the team in modern day football. We talk about Leicester last season. Morgan, Kante, Vardy up front with, the influence of Mahrez. We see Chelsea this season. We see David Luiz. We see Kante. We see Diego Costa. Let's look at Arsenal for a second. Koscielny. Coquelin. And who the fuck is playing up front? Who? Alexis? No, Alexis is running into spaces with his head down like a 6-year-old child with skill. That's what he's doing. He is a great player for another team. Like, you're going to lose this guy.
Yep. No, we absolutely are. I don't blame him. I will not be mad for 1 second at Alexis Sanchez if he leaves. He deserves better. Mesut Ozil was... Dude, Ozil won more tackles than any other player on Arsenal yesterday. So I really can't say that much.
What was your midfielder's pass completion over 90 minutes? Who was it?
I don't know. Xhaka?
Xhaka, yeah. It was like he completed how many passes?
I don't know the exact number, but they piss the ball away routinely. They can't. Dude, there's no direction. There's nothing. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. And I'm at the end of my rope, bro.
Okay,
like,
so let me.
They're gonna lose. They're gonna lose. They were gonna lose on. They will lose on Monday to non-league Sutton United.
Well, that's not gonna happen.
They will lose.
They won't lose. I don't think so. But I mean, what was I gonna say? Shit. What am I gonna say? I had a good point there for a second. It's totally gone blank. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, the first half, it started poorly. You got yourself back in the game, and Xhaka had that chance at the edge of the area. He caught it. He caught it well. Unfortunately, it went straight to the keeper. If he puts that away, and Koscielny doesn't get injured, do you think the outcome will be different, or is that just making excuses?
It's making excuses. I'm sorry, dude, because it's so predictable. It's the same thing each year. If you look at the last 6 years, our first legs in the Champions League, we have lost by a wide margin every single time. Every single time. Except for the year we beat Barcelona 2-1 at home. Other than that, it's been 4-0 at AC Milan, however many years ago. 3-1 Monaco. 2-0, 3-0 Bayern. 5-1 yesterday. Barcelona, throw Barcelona in there one time, they smacked us first leg. And then what's going to happen, second leg, we'll go on and win 1-0, 2-0, and Wenger will be applauded for a good effort. Close, but not good enough. But it's okay because we won at home. I just don't. I don't even know what to do anymore. I don't know the club. The one thing I will say though is I know I get emotional and reactive there needs to be a plan of succession put into place for when Wenger leaves.
Well,
as
we need
opposed to just-
we need to. I think we should get a countdown clock in the bar like they have for St. Patrick's Day. You know, days till Wenger's going to step down, and that's what you're waiting for. That's you're a true fan. You feel it, and I've never, like I said, I've never seen someone so depressed after a football game. I've had those feelings. I felt shitty after many England games and Manchester United games. But when you're not putting up a fight in these games, like you visibly see players not running and not giving a shit, that's when you just you just lose your shit.
It's crazy, dude. But it all stems from the manager. It does.
It really does. It really does.
It all stems from the manager.
Like Paul said last episode, I think he's lying to you, and he's so selfish. He really is selfish, and he wants to go out on his own terms, and that's why
he's delusional. He's delusional. How much do that as a manager, a self-respecting manager? How can you continue to lose and lose and lose in this fashion, and still tell yourself it's going to happen? You're good enough. He can't do it, dude. He can't do it. He won't win the league. He won't win the Champions League. So he's sticking around, and all it's doing is creating so much unhappiness and unrest in the club, and he doesn't care because he still has I have to give him credit for having the self-belief he has in himself. No one else in the world has more self-belief than Arsene Wenger, because I don't know how many he's been punched so many times in the face. And a lot of the time he deserves it, and he gets back up.
I really don't know how he sleeps at night, to be honest. How the fuck does he sleep after a result like that? I'm surprised, even if he did sleep last night. But I'm sure he has that smug look on his face, and he's just like, I'm Arsene Wenger, and I had the invincible team.
He should have stepped down after. He should have stepped down after the first FA Cup we won a few years ago. Yes, we won 2 FA Cups back to back. But after the first one, he should have stepped down, and then after the second one, he definitely should have stepped down, because that's all he's capable of accomplishing at this point are meaningless cups. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm done talking about Arsenal. But yeah, 5-1, second leg coming up.
Okay, I just want to kind of ask you, is this the lowest point as an Arsenal fan in the last 20 years?
Since I've been supporting the club, I would say that it is. And I don't think it's an overreaction. And listen, part of the reason why it's the lowest point is not just solely off of one result, but of how bleak the future looks. With whether it's bleak with Wenger or without Wenger, the club doesn't seem to have a plan for moving forward without him. They kind of are just basing everything on whether or not he'll be the manager and sign an extension. So yeah, dude, it's a low point, and it just has to change going forward.
Just coupled with the Watford defeat and the Chelsea defeat in recent weeks, and with this, it's kind of, we can use the word embarrassing, right? Obviously, it's embarrassing. Even if it's Bayern Munich, and I know Ozil has come out today and said he's being used as a scapegoat, and I think Bayern Munich had 75% possession. You think that was fair for people to start blaming Mesut Ozil just because he's the highest transfer fee Arsenal paid?
See, Ozil is a very unique situation because he has the ability and the freedom at Arsenal to play as a true number 10, where he is allowed just to float around the pitch, and he's more or less a luxury player, which is great. But people don't understand that the role he's given is given to him by Arsene Wenger, and he is just acting that role out by the way he plays.
But only if you have 25% possession, how can a number 10 be creative? He has to get the ball.
Yeah. I'm not arguing with you. Yeah. So I think it is unfair because the first goal, he could he have tracked back? Yes, but I don't know. It's kind of just the role that he's been given and he's been allowed to play, where Wenger lets him have all the freedom he wants. And you have to change formation. You have to change a bunch of other things for Ozil to be playing a different way, I guess, because he's played as a true number 10 where he's allowed to just chill and do his thing. And like you said, when you have 25% of the ball, it's hard to be creative. And he's not the type of player to, be a defensive workhorse. He's not a holding midfielder. He's not Francis Coquelin. You know what I mean? Like, he's Mesut Ozil. Like, this guy's won World Cups, won the league. This isn't like he's a bad player. He's just given the role that he – and I think that's part of the reason why he'll stay at Arsenal and sign an extension is that Wenger's such a coward that he'll just play him and give him what he wants and play him as a true number 10, where at other clubs, Ozil might be played under a different system that doesn't suit him as well. So I think Ozil enjoys the current system that he's played at, but unfortunately, yes, he is the scapegoat.
We've seen it on the field. We can visibly see the players are unsettled. And Alexis Sanchez hasn't hidden the fact that he's frustrated when Arsenal don't produce what they're capable of producing. And, you're the Sutton manager sitting at home scouting this game. You got to watch Arsenal in the Champions League, see where their strengths and weaknesses are. If the unthinkable happens on Monday, what's the next step? Does Wenger even last to the end of the season? I mean, they've already said he's making the decision at the end of the season. So regardless of the Sutton result, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they were to lose to Sutton, like I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. Like, he has to get sacked. He has to. And he won't, but he has to.
I'm sure there's a compensation package there, so why not just wait out until the end of the season? What's the point in sacking him, paying him off millions if Arsenal are a business club?
Yeah, no, you're right. They're not going to sack him, but if they lose to Sutton, I can't imagine there being any Arsenal fan that's left to defend him.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that... I mean, I'm sure there's a blog or a board out there, fans boycotting this second leg. I can't see any Arsenal fan purchasing a ticket. Even though you're 4 goals down, you have an away goal. Barcelona are 4-0 down. Who's more likely to come back? Obviously Barcelona, because it's Barcelona. Arsenal have no hope in hell in scoring 4 goals at home against Bayern Munich without conceding. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, there's no chance. Arsenal are finished, are 100%. And it doesn't, who cares? Like, who cares? This is what they do in the Champions League. And if you expect it differently, I mean, unfortunately...
So the predictability is back. So your memo holds purpose now.
Well, maybe just that stance I have is just with an underlying Arsenal bias of the predictability. Because the team has no chance in the Champions League ever, and we just playing it for fun. They have no shot ever of moving past the round of 16. And even when they do have a shot, they lose 3-1 to Monaco. They don't have a shot, dude. They're a joke.
Okay,
Club's a joke.
Final game, Real Madrid 3-1 winners yesterday. Did you watch the game, or were you?
Yeah, no, I did not see a second of this game, but I mean, I saw the highlights.
So Ronaldo wasn't on the score sheet, and he hasn't been regularly on the score sheet like he has in previous seasons. What was the minutes he hasn't scored in the Champions League now?
So Cristiano has now gone 523 minutes without a Champions League goal, which is his longest drought in the competition at Real Madrid. He had a good opportunity, but he put it over the bar from like 12 yards out, and he just he didn't play selfish though, from what I've read, and like I said, I didn't see the game, but I've watched the highlights, and is involved in the creative play, and I mean, it'll be okay. Madrid has enough firepower other than him. Dude, Benzema's up to like 4th, I think, in all-time Champions League goals, which is pretty impressive. Like that's really impressive.
Arsenal should have signed him, right?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Signed Lucas Perez.
So from these past 4 games, who's favourite for the Champions League right now? Who do you feel is going to win this competition?
Out of everyone that's left,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I mean, Madrid could do it. Bayern could do it. Based off the performance, PSG could do it. I think Sevilla is a real sleeper team that people need to worry about. They're playing some of the best footy in Europe right now, and I know Madrid has 2 games in hand, but they're right in that title race in Spain. And like Nasri's playing the best footy of his life, and I don't know. I think that Sevilla could maybe make a run. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see what happens. But I think that the 3 best teams played. I mean, I wasn't expecting that result, the PSG result, but if they can play like that, they can go on and win this competition, no problem. Which, I don't know if they can sustain that momentum, or that the way they pressed was just so impressive, and to do that game in, game out might be hard. But I don't know. What do you think?
So realistically, Leicester City don't have a shot against Sevilla.
Yeah, nah, there's no chance. I think that Sevilla will dispatch of Leicester fairly easily.
It's going to be a really interesting game to see if they really turn them over, like Leicester are crumbling in the Premier League. It's going to be interesting to see their kind of reaction, because they haven't played that poorly in the Champions League. And they've done amazing to get this far as it is, considering the season they've had. But my favourites, you have to go for Real Madrid, I feel, just with the players they have. Even if Ronaldo's not scoring, you have Benzema still producing the goods up front. Toni Kroos scored yesterday. Bale's on his way back. With and the head coach Zidane, they just look too strong right now. But the Champions League, they could have an off day, a couple of off days in the semi-final. We've seen it in the past, and the final is a one-off game. But you're right, it's getting more and more predictable every year. It's the 3 or 4 strongest teams in Europe just making the last 4. And unfortunately, the English teams are kind of falling behind in that sense in recent years. I remember in the mid-2000s, it was always Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United making up the quarterfinals at least, if not the semi-finals. So, with this season, I think it's predictable. I think Barcelona aside, you're just going to have the 4 strongest teams that are playing in Europe in the last 4.
Sounds about right.
All right. Well,
that's.
Carry on.
No, I'm good. I got nothing to say. Actually, I do have something to say. A story broke while we were recording. Grant Wall is reporting that Bob Bradley is the top candidate to coach LAFC.
Really?
Ooh.
I've seen his statement. Actually, I was listening on the radio. They were reading it out, and when he was interviewed first, when he came to Swansea, he was asked, what it's like to be the first American in the Premier League, and he said he felt proud. He felt he had a job to do, but he doesn't want to be judged on his nationality. And that statement that he originally said in his first press conference was taken out of context, and he had a lot of anger towards the media thereafter. Well, obviously sorry for Bob Bradley. It didn't work out for him, and Paul Clement has done a great job. He's the front runner for the new LA team.
Yeah, Grant Wall said that in 2018. They have their first season in MLS, so that's pretty exciting. Him starting off with a new club, and that statement was pretty crazy. You really, it was hard not to feel bad for him, and he definitely cared. He really, as a man that has a lot of pride in his work, and he didn't get out what he put in, and I guess, and he was just obviously extremely disappointed that he couldn't have stayed. And he alluded to how well things have been under Paul Clement, and he mentioned that yes, Clement got a transfer window, but at the same time he's developed an identity, and Swansea's back playing the way that we expect Swansea to play and the way they've played in the Premier League. So definitely a shame. But I guess before we wrap it up, we do have a Twitter question.
Okay.
Michael can't pronounce his last name, so Michael, thanks for listening. Thanks for tweeting in. He said, at Michael, do you think Pulisic should have come on earlier?
Of the Champions League game?
Yeah, for the Champions League game against Benfica.
No, I don't think he should. He's still 19. I don't think he really should start many games, to be honest. And he's still developing. He's not going to be a world beater. He's not. He's a good player. He's not world class at 19 yet. So no, I don't think he should have come on earlier. Even though he was the bright spark when he came on, he created a lot of chances. He was very lively.
Yeah, and I mean, I would agree. I think he got a fair number of minutes, and while he did play well, I know we mentioned the attempt he had from outside the box. That was a good hit, but they should have won that game. Aubameyang could have had 3 or 4 easily, and the fact that he didn't is unfortunate. But Pulisic's a good player, came on, played well, but I think it was fine because it's not like he started Champions League games this season. It's not like he's being thrown to the bench just because it's the Champions League.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was just.
He started at the Bernabeu this season, right?
Yeah, so I don't think it's a matter of he didn't start, so he's being put on the bench. It's just a matter of the team selection that day, and unfortunately, he didn't start the game, but whatever, he came on and played well, and I'm sure.
I think Michael. I think what Pulisic needs, and right now, is just minutes in the Champions League, and any minute is vital for a developing young player like himself. So any kind of impact in the game is just a bonus for him at this stage in his career. In time he will develop into a starting Champions League player. Jimmy Traore was a starting Champions League player, and I think he's better than him. So, thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Jimmy Traore.
All right, guys. Well, yeah, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Always tweet your questions at The Third Touch. We'll be here, and we'll be back on Sunday with Michael McLaughlin. He'll be back with us, joining us. All right.
Yeah, talking a little FA Cup probably on Sunday because our favorite competition and Arsene Wenger's favorite competition's back.
All right, guys. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The big stuff.